Vanessa pointed out how big this arm is with this little tiny microphone.
It's ridiculous. Looks like when you see those people with the coats and then go like this and there's like a little baby hand that comes out.
You know what I would like to do more of with you? And don't worry, it's not sexual. Meditate. Mm-hmm. I actually enjoy meditating with you, and I think for two reasons. One, it forces me to do more of it, which I need. Meditation is like it's something that everyone knows they need to do, but they never do.
It's like drinking enough water.
Yeah, it's like drinking enough water. So it makes me accountable when I do it with you, but also there's something nice about sitting next to your partner or lying next to your partner with your clothes on and doing nothing, although you're doing something. Because you're kind of not doing anything, but you are connecting in a way.
You're co-regulating. You're breathing together.
That's what it is.
And then what happens is your kind of frequency, your energy starts to align.
Yeah.
And you start to be able to sink into a connected space that you don't usually get when we're day to day and we're up here and blah, 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 you kind of bounce off each other energetically. So I think it really helps co-regulate as partners. That's
what it is. It's like lying there and trying to sync up your heart and energy, and
we're not trying. That's the beautiful thing. I guess
you are by not trying.
Yeah, co-regulating actually, the idea of co-regulating, like when you do it with a kid, for example, you're actually trying, but this is more just like by nature of being in the same headspace, like you're energetically aligning. Yeah.
And what's interesting is sometimes meditating with your partner can feel more intimate than sex.
It does for me, for
sure.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
that's how I feel like when you come to a yoga class with me, like which you don't really ever do. I know you feel more connected when we physically work out hard together.
Right.
I feel more connected to you when we're sharing a yoga space together because it has a similar effect for me. Because yoga for me is not necessarily fitness. Yoga is spiritual for me. It's meditation. And so I get a similar feeling of connectedness to you when we're on the mat side by side.
Hugh Jackman with his wife, and who knows if it's true, but he says it's true. Every morning for 30 minutes, they read together. And not only do they read together, but they actually read to the other person, which I think it might be a little weird. But
I love that, because if you think about like this image that we have of like in the 1950s of couples like going to bed and laying side by side, and now you're cold.
Yeah, no, I'm cold.
And reading in bed together with their own little click lamps next to each other and stuff. There's also something similar to that. Like, reading can be a form of meditation if you're truly focused.
I think it's cute that they're reading to each other. But anyway, it's and the reason why they do it is because once the morning passes, they say they're going to connect and do things, and then the day
life happens.
Yeah. The day goes away, and so.
Let's be real, connecting at night is a lot fucking harder than connecting in the morning, right? Yeah. Because I don't know about you guys, but we have kids. The nighttime, I'm fried.
We have one kid, not kids. Unless you're counting me, then we have kids. You have kids, I don't. I have one. So, the importance of...
You're about to hear some beeping in the background.
What is that? The importance of...
1-800-TOILETS truck. I don't know what this is, but...
We work out of our garage, so what you're not seeing is an entire neighborhood. We live in a cul-de-sac, and there's parrots and Amazon and all sorts of squirrels. Look, there's squirrels,
1-800-TOILETS,
raccoons, all sorts of shit up here in Altadena. But the importance of doing little things with your partner, the importance of rituals, is what we're starting this conversation with. And with you, I think meditation is something we can do together. I definitely know that I can... I think it is lopsided where I bring you into to do, barbells and fitness, and I don't come with you to yoga, and I know that I'm definitely guilty for not meeting you halfway. So maybe more of that. What are some things that you guys do with your partner if you're not in a relationship when you were? That is, we're not talking about extravagant trips, right? We're talking about things that add up. Connecting to your partner day to day, little things, whether it's sharing a meal, meditating, Obviously, intimacy, sex, but that's obvious. But little things that
I would actually challenge people to not use that.
Yeah. Keep your clothes on.
Yeah, I would actually say that can be, like you always say, it's like candy. Like that can be the easy way out.
Yeah, there's
like,
no stretching
I don't
that.
feel connected right now, so let's have sex, and then
Yeah.
that'll soothe me and make me feel more connected. But sometimes I think that we hide behind sex as a way to connect.
Yeah, so that's been most of my life. I mean, that's my default. That's where I go. I don't think when I feel disconnected from Vanessa, I don't think, oh, let's meditate or read books. I think let's take our clothes off, right? So for me, the stretch would be to not do that.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think we've had a conversation similar to this before where I've said to you something along the lines of like, I'm either I miss or what I long for sometimes more than anything is like when we have these really deep, intimate conversations.
Yeah.
And not intimate even about us relationally, has actually not even, as the avoidant, I feel less connected sometimes when we talk about us in the moment.
Well, then can I just say maybe that's your stretch as well?
Well, no, but what I was going for is more like I feel more connected when we're having like really passionate, interesting conversations
about the world,
about
other things,
about life,
sure.
about spirituality,
Purpose,
even just like interesting things that we've read or, depth psychology or whatever it is. I think because for me, I have always connected to people in their passion, that when we are both in a state of passion and we connect in that space, it feels really amazing to me.
Yeah, it reminds me of, the days in high school when you would talk to your crush all throughout the night about love and life and, whatever.
Staying up all night on the phone.
Yeah, I mean, watching the sun come up, right?
Yeah.
So
somebody said gardening. I love that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Vanessa and I are working on a little landscaping ourselves, so gardening. We just wrote a book together. That's an intimate process,
I agree.
right?
I agree.
So writing,
I loved doing that with you.
Yeah. Anyway, it's something that I thought about today. Doing things with your partner that connects you, that isn't the obvious, and also for extra points, do things that bring you resistance, right? So for me, would be yoga, things that I'm not used to. Hey, a motorcycle ride.
Yeah.
When I first met you, we rode the motorcycle a lot.
I mean,
right?
And here's for me why that would be really connecting is not necessarily because I'm obsessed with motorcycles, even though I somehow have always dated men that ride motorcycles. It's more because with you,
I'm very present in the
you are the most present and the most grounded
with a gas tank in between my legs.
When you're on your motorcycle than you are at any other time in your life, at least in my experience of you. And that makes me feel really safe, which is crazy to think that like when I'm on a motorcycle with you, I actually feel the most safe with you because you're so grounded.
How do you know that I'm the most present on a motorcycle if you're staring at my back?
It's a feling.
Oh,
it's a feeling.
Interesting.
You are so grounded. You're so present. Your energy is so different when you're on the bike.
When I take the bike to go work out and I'm driving on the freeway, like there's a freeway here, it's the 2 or the 210, but it curves around, overlooks the city. I'm so calm. Like I almost fall asleep. That's how calm I am, and yet I'm going 80 on 2 wheels. And I think that's because I feel so comfortable on a motorcycle, and I think you feel that on the back.
I don't necessarily know that it's comfort. I think it's your meditation.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
Your energy and your vibration drops into this state of just, again, it's like groundedness. That's how I perceive it.
Yeah.
Because it is a meditation for you. And also, I mean, you're on a bike. You have to be focused.
Right.
It is like the ultimate form of meditation because you can't not be focused and be safe on a motorcycle, right? So it forces you, which is similar to asana, the physical form of yoga. The whole point, the reason why that's part of meditation is because in order to be in proper alignment, you have to be super focused on your body, which is why it translates to that.
Yeah, I think being on a motorcycle forces me to drop into my body. Fitness does that for me as well. And when it comes to sex and intimacy, a lot of people that does the opposite. A lot of people
it can do that for me.
When they're having sex, they pull out of their body. They're not dropping into their body. And so I don't know. It may be something to look at. I want to end with this. because this is something that I'm working on my book currently. It's been on my mind a lot. What's your definition of a good life, and how is it different than when you were in your 20s?
Oh, it's a curveball conversation. What's my definition of a good life? God, the first
I
thing...
love dropping bombs as we exit.
do.
Like, that's what our clients do.
The doorknob. The doorknob situation is what we call it as therapists, y'all.
The doorknob?
The doorknob. It's called the doorknob. When their clients reaching for the doorknob and they're like, oh, by the way, you know, I lost my job, my dog died, and I broke up with my boyfriend. See you next week. It's the doorknob. Let's see. For me, what defines a good life?
Two-part question. And on the Instagram, you guys in the front row, if you could put it in the chat, that would be cool. What is your definition of a good life today, and how is it different than when you were, say, in your 20s? And if you're watching this and you're in your 20s, then, you know, when you were in high school. So the previous you, right, the older version of you. What's your definition of a good life today, and how is it different from before?
My definition now...
I can go first if you want me to buy time.
My definition now includes the words space, calm.
Do you want me to move over a little bit?
Quiet, silence, like moments of silence, deep breathing, like the ability to breathe deeply, connectedness, but the connectedness that I want now is very different than the connectedness that I think I wanted in my 20s.
What's the connectedness you want now that is different than your 20s? Like, what did you want in your 20s?
I think in my 20s it was all about like excitement, and even like in friend relationships, right? It was like, I mean, you're in your 20s. I lived in New York. It's like I was out every night and we're dancing on tables and we're laughing and we're loud and we're drunk, and you know, and that was what a lot of my relationships were kind of formed on. And while obviously those relationships are still very important to me, the relationships that I've made in my 30s now going to 40s are much more connected, I think, on those things that I said I want in my life now. They're people who also, they want to connect in a more grounded way. They want to connect in a more spiritual way. They want to connect in a way that feels bigger than us or than me, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I love that. For me, in my 20s, my definition of a good life was a successful career, lots of money, and a solid relationship. Everything else was filler for me. Yeah. Friends, travel, pets, all of that, they were accessories. What I wanted was to build my empire and have someone by my side, right? And then I learned that if you hang your definition of a good life on those things, it can make you feel powerless instead of power-filled, because one, your career may not go the way that you wanted to, right? Also not in the time that you wanted to. And then with relationships, you're only 50% of any relationship. So even if you were quote unquote perfect, it could still, you know, expire or go sideways. And so today, my definition of a good life is, I like what Vanessa said about spaces, spaces that make you feel alive, flow states. We were just talking about how I feel on my motorcycle. So out of my head, being super present here and now. Moments matter to me, and before they didn't. I still struggle with being impatient, so I'm a very impatient guy. So practicing being here, having the ability to be here, I think produces a good life. And of course, you know, I agree with Viktor Frankl, hanging your life on meaning. So I think a good life involves things that are greater than you. Mm-hmm. So
I think too, one of the similarities between our lists is a recognition now that we're on the other side of the things that it sounds like both of our lists are very much about things that we can control, in like things that are about us internally.
Well, it brings the power back,
external,
right.
External things making you happy versus internal, not things. But
yes, and it doesn't mean that I don't suddenly like toys or cars, or you know, it doesn't mean that I don't want a successful career or a solid relationship. It just means that there's more to life than those things.
Than the external.
Yeah, than the external.
Yeah. Even my spiritual practice is not external anymore. I've really walked away from more of the dogma that says I have to look outside of myself, and a lot of my transition and like my rebirth, I would say, in the last 10 years has been around finding my practice internally and connecting to my internal spiritual source. Yeah.
Well,
I want to end on the fact that you have baby, I don't know, snot or food or drool or something on your
It's dad life.
Jacket.
Puke, poop, or urine always on you
Or
in your
drool.
clothes.